Yeah, and those who come late, bring coffee to everybody on the chairs. So yeah, good morning. This is the latest on what is now Tropical Storm 15W. It has been named Bolaven by the JMA because they're analyzing it as a tropical storm. Now, this was upgraded overnight from a tropical depression to a tropical storm. And again, this is the 15th tropical cyclone of 2023. And the information in this briefing is based on our 7 o'clock this morning advisory number 4. Going to the next slide. These advisories will be updated every 6 hours, so the next full update with the forecast track will be at 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is where we're sitting right now. This morning, tropical storm is sitting right about 10 degrees north, 153 degrees east. It was moving slowly at west-northwest at 5 miles per hour. Its forward speed has slowed down from where it was yesterday. We're going to see that trend gradually increase over the next 24 hours. That would be the good news as long as it keeps speeding up. But this forecast track still has Guam and all of the CNMI in the crosshairs of a possible direct passage. Outside of the storm environment, we are seeing the monsoon flow surging into this tropical storm. So we're having a lot of monsoon surge, winds, showers, and thunderstorms across Palau, Yap, and the outer islands of Chuuk State spinning up into this tropical storm. This will continue over the next several days as Tropical Storm Bolaven continues to intensify. It is a tropical storm. Maximum winds are at 40 miles per hour. That's a minimal tropical storm. This could be upgraded to a typhoon on Monday. So likelihood, when this passes through the Mariana Islands, this could be a typhoon intense tropical cyclone. Go on to the next slide, please. So it's important to note that when we are putting out our information, don't panic. Don't panic, but do be prepared. Take action today. The weather will be fine today across Guam and the CNMI with spotty showers. This is the day that you want to take those actions to get things in place and ready for the possibility of a tropical storm or a typhoon passing close to your island. Know and understand the forecast and terminology. If you do not understand our jargon from the Weather Service, send us a message. Call us up because we have a lot of terms. The watches and warnings, damaging winds. If you do not understand those terms, send us a message on our Facebook page. The other key points, most or all of the Mariana Islands will be grazed by this tropical cyclone. However, any one of these locations could take a direct hit. None of us are out of the woods at this point. Bolaven is likely to be a typhoon at time of passage through the Mariana Islands, and it's likely to pass through the islands sometime late Tuesday evening or Tuesday night. Stay up to date to the latest forecasts and trends and changes in the coming days on our webpage because we will see little wiggles over the next 24 to 48 hours as things come into better alignment and Bolaven continues to evolve. Next slide, please. So again, overnight, 15W was upgraded from a tropical depression to a tropical storm. It continues to organize and steady intensification is expected on its approach. So we're right about 48 hours away from the onset of the damaging winds. This morning at 7 o'clock, it was located about 600 miles east-southeast of Guam. It was moving west-northwestward at 5 miles per hour with maximum winds of 40 miles per hour. Next slide. Go to the next slide. This is the JTWC forecast track. Still showing a passage. Yesterday we were looking at a Rota channel passage. Now it's shifted just a little bit northward. You can't quite see it in this image too well, but that forecast track as of this morning has shifted about 10 to 15 miles northward. That would be good for us if that trend continues, not so much for the CNMI. We're still looking at a closest point of approach to Guam. That's going to be Tuesday evening, but instead of 15 miles to our north, it's going to be about 40 miles to our north. Don't focus too much on this specific distance and time because this will shift. These are some of those little wiggles that we talked about. It could still jump farther southward and closer to Guam or farther to the north. Go on to the next slide, please. This is the Weather Service graphic, and the next slide shows our deterministic forecast track. Go on to the next slide, please. There we go. This is our deterministic forecast plot as of 7 o'clock this morning, showing those winds associated with this tropical storm. The blue, those are tropical storm force winds of 39 miles per hour. The yellow, those are severe tropical storm force winds of 58 miles per hour and greater. And the red, those are typhoon force winds. And right now, this is making a direct passage over Rhoda. Again, we're going to see this shift in the next 12, 24, 36 hours as time marches on, as the new forecasts come through. But right now, this is Guam right here. We're on the edge of those severe tropical storm force winds with the typhoon force winds over Rhoda. If this drops southward, and that's possible, we'll see those stronger winds. If it shifts northward, we'll see lesser winds. Go to the next slide. This is showing the air track, showing that 2/3 of the time, this forecast track, the center of this cyclone, will likely stay within this white area. So Guam, Rhoda, Tina, Saipan are still very much in the crosshairs. This is not something to write off. This is something to take very seriously, because we could take the full brunt of another typhoon. Next slide, we're going to look at the probabilities. Yesterday, we were looking at the tropical storm force probabilities around 50 to 60%. For us in Guam, that has increased to 70 to 90% probability of tropical storm force winds on Tuesday. So the high likelihood is there that we will feel at least tropical storm force conditions on Tuesday and early Wednesday. The next slide shows those typhoon force probabilities. Yesterday we were sitting at 10 to 20%. Now we're up to 20 to 30%. So Guam and Rhoda with those possibilities of typhoon force winds. And again, as this intensifies, those strongest winds will be tightly clustered around that eye, or the center of the circulation. So if we're looking at a passage in Rhoda, we're not going to be feeling those typhoon force winds. But if that track drops southward, closer to Guam, our wind speeds and expectations will go up. The next slide, the earliest reasonable time of arrival, we're still looking at Monday night for the earliest time that these tropical storm force winds could arrive. But the next slide shows the most likely time. This is keeping consistent with what we were looking at yesterday. We're still looking at the onset of tropical storm force conditions Tuesday morning. So ideally, if you have plans and actions to take place, do those today. Wrap them up tomorrow. By the time the sun goes down on Monday, the conditions will start to deteriorate with those tropical storm force conditions starting to build in Tuesday morning. So make sure your plans and processes and procedures are well wrapped up by Monday night. Next slide. So the uncertainty, we are moving forward. There's increased confidence. And again, the confidence is there that every one of the islands will be feeling at least a tropical storm. But that uncertainty remains. Who will be taking that closest pass? Somebody may take a direct hit by a typhoon. It could be Guam, it could be Rhoda, it could be Tinian and Saipan. Some of the trends are favoring more of a northward shift. So we're going to be watching that over the next 24 hours. If this northward shift continues, that would certainly be good news for us. Means that we're not going to have a typhoon strike us. But if there's any southward shift, watch out. So continue to plan. Next slide. So the unknowns are still there. Will the forward motion increase or slow down? It slowed down overnight, but we're expected to see the forecast forward motion increase over the next 24 hours as it continues to evolve. The intensification is currently forecast to be gradual and steady. Right now, there's no indication of a high likelihood of rapid intensification over the next 24 to 36 hours. But again, that's always a possibility for more rapid intensification. Will this be another Mawar? That looks conclusively not the case. So keep that in mind. If you're worried, anxious about this situation, this does not look like it's going to be another Mawar, but based on current forecasts, it could be similar to Typhoon Dolphin, Typhoon Mangkhut back in 2015 and 2018. Those are Category 2 and Category 3 storms. Keep that in mind for your planning, but stay up to date with all the trends, because things can and do change in these tropical weather environments. Go to the next slide, please. And so the timing we're looking at, we do have a typhoon watch now in effect. That's as of 7 o'clock this morning. That means that tropical storm force winds are possible for Guam, Rhoda, Tinian, and Saipan in 48 hours. So we use that word possible, meaning there's still that uncertainty somebody may feel typhoon force winds. So a typhoon watch is in effect. That could be upgraded to a warning once we're within 24 hours of the onset of those tropical storm force winds. So the timing for the worst conditions starting to deteriorate Monday night and persisting through Wednesday. Things will rapidly improve once it's passed, but we will see that monsoon start surging on the backside of this typhoon Wednesday, Thursday, into Friday. So those on the southwest and west sides of the island, keep that in mind. You'll probably see some high surf and large swell, possibly some inundation if it's still large enough. But the potential for a tropical storm, the typhoon impacts, high possibility for damaging winds and or destructive tropical storm force winds. There's also that possibility for typhoon force winds, again, if this thing takes a slight southward deviation. So any southward shift in the current forecast track would bring the stronger winds to Guam. Next slide. The rainfall, we are looking at about 6 to 10 inches of rain. Go to the next slide, please. 6 to 10 inches of rainfall locally, higher amounts. And again, this is going to be dependent on the forward motion of this storm. Will it be a slow mover like Mawar, or will it move in and get out of here quickly? That would be ideal. It would lessen our rainfall totals, but we're looking at right now 6 to 10 inches and maybe a foot of rain in some places, particularly if the storm tracks closer to Guam. The winds will rapidly increase Tuesday morning, becoming damaging a tropical storm force, likely Tuesday morning. We'll see this shift a little bit. We could see the higher wind speeds if there's a Guam and Rota passage, but lesser wind speeds if the same shifts northward. So keep that in mind. This is something to keep focused on. We'll have more refining in the coming hours as each new forecast comes through. The surf will build to dangerous levels upwards of 15 to 18 feet. We can start seeing inundation along some low-lying coastal areas right about 14 and 15 feet. So during high tides on windward and surfward facing shores, there could be some inundation, and sea conditions will be building rapidly on Tuesday morning as this system approaches. Go on to the next slide, please. And so rainfall again, we're looking at 8 to 10 inches for Guam, 6 to 8 inches for Rota, and to a lesser extent to Tinian and Saipan, but it really depends on where the storm passes. That will bring significant changes in rainfall expectations as well as the forward motion of this tropical storm. Go on to the next slide. And so little wiggles matter. Time is on our side, but that time is getting shorter and shorter. We are at condition of readiness 3. The governor just declared that a few moments ago. Preparations should be taking place today for at least a severe tropical storm, but plan and prepare for the possibility of a typhoon passing through. A shift in forward motion could still happen, delaying or speeding up the onset of storm conditions. We're still looking at those conditions possibly arriving Tuesday morning. And so it could be a Saipan hit or it could be a Guam hit. So remember that rapid intensification is still uncertain. Doesn't look too likely in the near term, but it could still happen on Monday night or Tuesday as this thing approaches. So we're going to keep that in our mind and watch for that closely. And as of 7 o'clock this morning, there is a possibility Bolaven could be a Category 2 typhoon with winds of 96 to 110 miles per hour at the time of passage. Who's going to be feeling this? And so we're going to be watching that closely. Go on to the next slide. So just to recap, we are in a typhoon watch, and that's issued for when 39 miles per hour winds are possible within 48 hours. Now, we may upgrade to a warning once we get into that 24-hour time frame, but will that be a tropical storm warning or a typhoon warning? That remains to be seen, depending on the tracks and the forecasts and the numerical guidance over the next 24 hours. So we'll be watching that closely, but stay tuned because we are definitely not out of the woods, and we should plan and prepare for the possibility of a typhoon passing close or over Guam. Next slide. And just our terminology, we're no longer looking at a tropical depression coming to the islands, but it will be a tropical storm or a typhoon, and we can expect these conditions for any one of the islands and on Tuesday and early Wednesday. And the next slide, we will be doing a Facebook Live broadcast sometime this afternoon. Once we get our meetings and schedules lined up for this afternoon, we will plan to do another Facebook Live broadcast from my office with all the latest details and information from across the region, and at least a 2 o'clock forecast spots. So I'll take questions briefly after the media has left. I do have to get to the CNMI in about 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Take care.
Okay, everybody, you saw it there and you are looking live. You continue to watch it because I trip. It was funny. They said, you know, like once the media leaves the room, that's basically us, me and you. Okay, let's try and unpack everything that was said right now. I know we're going to get some officials that are going to come out. We're going to talk to them directly. You heard it from Landon. Weather is going to get bad in summary, right? Here's the TLDR version. Too long, didn't read. Weather is going to get bad on Guam sometime Monday night and will persist through Wednesday. That is expected, or that's anticipated when the closest point of approach for Tropical Storm Bolaven is expected. So weather is going to get bad Monday night through Wednesday. It's going to get rapidly better once the storm leaves. But then again, he said, like, on the backside of that, we will get a lot of storm surge. So it's going to be very dangerous sea conditions after that, heading into the latter part of the week, probably like Friday, maybe even Saturday and the weekend. So what you should do is, remember, he was saying right now, this is the critical time right now. Make preparations today. You've got about a day and a half, and we are, as you heard, I didn't even know that the governor just declared condition of readiness level 3, but apparently we are in that right now. So that means we're all on the clock as Guamanians, and for our brothers and sisters up in the NMI, we're all watching this. He said that, Landon did, that all of the islands of the Marianas, Guam, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan, are going to feel the effects of Bolaven to some degree. Maybe even one, maybe even two of those 4 islands are going to take somewhat of a direct hit. The storm is, you know, it is a strong tropical storm or a weak typhoon. You know, he saw between Guam and Rota during sometime late Tuesday, maybe even early Wednesday, wind speeds as high as 100 miles per hour could be felt. So that's no joke. That is the kind of thing, we were mentioning this yesterday, that's the kind of thing that will pick up coconuts that have blown into your yard, hollow blocks, if you've got rebar, dangerous materials, you know, on children's, you know, toys, like those little tykes, if they happen to be in your yard, you know, playground equipment, things like that. You need to make sure to secure that. You know, if you've had a party recently and you've still got the materials out there, you need to make sure to secure that. Okay, so for more on what Gov Guam is doing to prepare for this, here's a very familiar face, my longtime broadcast partner, Crystal Pacos and Augustine. Good morning, Chris.
Hafaday and good morning to the people of Guam on this beautiful Sunday morning.
Yeah, where were you sitting? I didn't see you in there. Were you way behind me?
I was sitting in the back listening intently to the concerns. This has been a very, very busy morning as we're starting a lot of the planning and preparation again for this tropical disturbance, now tropical storm. So, you know, we're excited. People of Guam are very excited to get more information. I know we're hungry for information, especially after our last experience with Typhoon Mawar. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of fixing those challenges that we had in the last storm, the last typhoon. And so I know the people of Guam want to know. It's now 10:33 a.m. That means we've been in condition of readiness 3 since 10 a.m. So for the last 33 minutes. Condition of readiness 3 essentially means damaging winds are expected within the next 48 hours. For you at home, that means you start your preparedness steps. And the people of Guam, you know what to do if this has not been drilled and ingrained into your memory from your last experience with Typhoon Mawar. So that is why you're starting to see the lines at the gas stations. People are gassing up. The fuel waiver, there is going to be a fuel waiver so that you can transport more than an X number of gallons of gas. That's in effect. We're working closely with our gas companies. Governor, I can say, has met. Governor and Lieutenant Governor have met with the critical infrastructure agencies. So
I'm sorry, that fuel waiver, basically you'll be able to get as much gas as you can carry in your car.
As you need.
Okay,
because
gotcha.
People are stocking the gas for the generator, the need for the generator, especially for those who may be living with family members who are vulnerable, who need power 24 hours, who may be reliant on oxygen. Maybe you have someone who's diabetic and needs medicine that's refrigerated. So a lot of concerns, a lot of lessons learned from that last time. This morning, Governor started her morning bright and early, meeting with her critical infrastructure agencies. So when we think critical infrastructure, we're thinking Guam Waterworks Authority, Guam Power Authority, the ports of entry, our healthcare facilities. And so they were at the table this morning. I can tell you that the Port Authority, they've already started preparing their port yard, and they've been working closely with the gas companies to ensure there are no issues. So yes, we have enough supply of gas here on the island, but I do recommend before the storm hits that you do gas up, fuel up, fill up your tanks, and get the gas for the generators now. Also from the Guam Power Authority, John Beneventi did attend this morning's briefing with the governor, and he has advised her that tree trimming started as early as last Friday, and they're especially concentrated next to water wells because power directly impacts water. As for the Guam Waterworks Authority, Acting General Manager Chris Budasi was present to basically articulate to the governor that they're currently topping off all the reservoirs. So everyone is pre-positioning their heavy equipment and working closely with the Guam Power Authority, the Guam Waterworks Authority. Again, power and water, essential to everyday living. Also, I already talked about the port. Public health, if you have someone in your family that has medical needs, the Department of Public Health and Social Services is already staging their health centers to stay open during the storm. They're also preparing to provide 3-day supply of dry goods to our seniors who receive home delivered meals.
And that's kind of an important distinction to make, because people are asking right now on Facebook. There's no closures, no suspensions at this point. Right now, we're in preparation mode.
We are all in preparedness mode. That's condition of readiness 3, core 3, and essentially means damaging winds we can expect within the next 48 hours. Public health also advising residents to pick up your medications. That is so important. So we're thinking about our vulnerable members in our households. Please prioritize them and their needs. We're working with the mayors. The mayors were just briefed. A lot of concerns about flooding. The Department of Public Works is already positioned north, central, and south. They pre-positioned that heavy equipment to mitigate any flooding. We're talking about Polaris Point. We're talking about Mercedes Road and Mauricio. We're talking about right in front of Wendy's Barragata, where we always see that flooding. So pre-positioning that heavy equipment. So that's all happening as we speak. Again, the main message right now is we're in condition of readiness 3. Take your preparedness steps 48 hours out. Things are evolving, and they're evolving quickly. So please stay tuned to media partners, valuable media partners like KUAN. And I have to address the elephant in the room that the last time we had a storm, obviously the number one challenge was communications. And I can tell you that the Office of Homeland Security, the Governor's Office, we're working closely with our telecoms partners to ensure that their needs are met, that we're able to support them as much as we can, even our broadcast companies. Again, that was last Friday. We met with our telecoms and broadcast companies. Our priority is to maintain communications throughout. This is the update we received. We're working with our telecoms. We're going through their checklists, and a lot of it is just ensuring our generators. They have generators ready, their maintenance, and their infrastructure is ready.
Well, let me ask you real quick, Chris. Speaking of communications, is the Joint Information Center available, like right now, via phone for anyone if anyone has like any questions? Because I know, like with the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center,
yes,
that number's
so much.
Yeah, that number's 988 is available if anybody has any mental health concerns.
988. I know the news of a disturbance in the area is triggering a lot of people. We had a lot of really personal experiences with Typhoon Mawar. So again, 988, that's the number to call if you're experiencing anything right now. Again, I just want to shout out to our media partners, to our mayors, and to the critical agencies that are now, prepping in the worst case scenario. Okay,
well, speaking of like innovative ways,
yes.
Yeah, there you go. So Veronica Verdi, of course, our dear friend with FEMA, and I also want to say, ma'am, I didn't get your name, but we have had actual sign language interpreter here for the last couple heavy weather briefings, which is a fantastic resource to have for our hearing impaired people, like here on Facebook. So thank you very much for what you're doing for the community.
Thank you as well.
Outstanding.
Great. That's Alyssa Sutherland. She's one of our local hires here with FEMA, ready to support here.
Half a day, Alyssa. Well, we're very grateful for your work. Very nice. Okay, so Veronica, from everything you heard in there, from a federal perspective and everything, what preparations is your agency making in concert with Gov Guam to make sure that we're okay?
So in the last couple of days, our National Response Coordination Center that has stood up, as well as our regional Coordination Center. We are looking to deploy and have been deploying about 175 personnel, and that is from our other federal agencies too, the U.S. Coast Guard, American Red Cross, USDA, and others that are coming here to support both Guam and the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas. Right now there's so much uncertainty on where this storm is actually going to hit, so we want to make sure that we have resources ready for both Guam and also for the Commonwealth of Northern Marianas.
Yeah, speaking of which, I saw my colleague Tomas Mangloni put like the little URL in the comments saying how the CNMI is preparing with their respective side, because if you didn't see it about 10 minutes ago, everybody on the live stream, Landon Aylett from the National Weather Service was saying all 4 islands of the Marianas are going to feel the effects of Tropical Storm Bolaven to some degree, Bolaven I should say. 1 or 2 of the islands may have a direct hit, but like Veronica just said, there are resources from FEMA standing by right now and to literally leap into action.
Absolutely. We also have our federal integration team member who's already there. They're there every day, even during peacetime. So he's already integrated. We're pushing people now from our teams. They're headed directly to the Commonwealth of Northern Marianas here. We already have 200 people that were already integrated because of Typhoon Lamar. An additional 175 or more are headed this way now. And so we're trying to push as many people as quickly as possible. Our headquarters office is engaged. Our regional office, the FEMA administrator, our regional administrator are both engaged in contact with the governor as well, just to talk about what resources may be needed. And of course, looking to see what kind of staffing we'll have here on the ground.
Outstanding. So thank you once again. Alyssa, thank you so much. All right, we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, let me get Jenna real quick. If I'm, there's a lot of people here. Okay, so Jenna, can we talk about the contact information? Because I was just telling Crystal about the 988 number. Landon made the point yesterday that so many people on Guam, just like our brothers and sisters up in Saipan from Sautalor, are being triggered, you know, like, and that's perfectly fine. That's a natural response and everything. So what are the numbers that are available at this moment should people need assistance?
Yeah, well, for today, you know, give us a call. We have the Joint Information Center partially activated. Our contact numbers are 671-478-0208, 09 or 10. I do want to inform you though, we do have partial activation of our Joint Information Center, so there won't be anyone who's there for this evening, but just stay up to date on our social media. As soon as we go into condition of readiness 2, you can anticipate hearing somebody on the other end of that phone line anytime you call.
Okay, is there any indication of when we might go into condition 2?
Not at this time.
Okay,
You know, I know that
but we are in core 3 at the moment.
Yes, as of 10 a.m. today.
All right. Okay, so Jenna, any final thoughts before I sign off?
Yeah, I know Crystal brought up some really good preparedness information, but one of the points that we're trying to make, especially for this situation, is if you have persons with disabilities that are part of your household or in your family, even the elderly in your community, or even your neighbors who you know just do not have internet or access to reliable power, start including them as part of your preparedness plan. Checking in with them, getting their contact information. That way you can help funnel some of the information to them that comes out of the Joint Information Center. We're really looking for a whole community approach with this preparedness activity, so we're really relying on the whole community to help share that information further. It takes all of us, so that's all we have.
That's the word right there. So let me flip this around and just say, ladies, if you would. Okay, so I'm hanging out with some friends of mine, but you know, the big word right now, right? All of us as Guamanians, you know, all of us as island residents, we're all on the clock right now. Weather's supposed to get bad Monday evening. We don't know the exact point of arrival, the exact closest point of approach yet. We will know as we get closer and closer, but we got about a day and a half right now. So everyone, please make sure you secure your personal items, your own home and everything. This is the perfect time to do so. Get out and gas your cars, go fill the water bottles, get batteries. Do what you got to do. Most of us know the drill. Even you young people, you've been through this now about 5 months ago. So for Jenna Gimindi Blas with the Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense, for our friend Veronica Verdi with FEMA, for Crystal Parker St. Augustine, for Alyssa, for all the huge cast over here that are making sure that you stay informed and stay safe. I'm merely Jason Sala saying good luck to us all, and let's go out and do what we got to do, Guam, and we will have more information to you on our social media platforms as we find out. Please take care.
Thank you. Viva Guam.
Viva Guam.